So I was really getting strong this evening after clearing a lot of energies that if you know something, it's important to share your voice. And the reason this is important is because we're at a time where this enemy has in some way erased history and controlled the narrative of what went out to the public or what went out to the media. But the messages that I have been feeling guided to talk about is the Ukraine war. Because there's certain people with certain military ranks that actually know the truth. And that truth has been silenced for a reason, to keep the enemy appearing as if they're in power or in control. But that truth is the only thing that can set many of us free. The world never really received the correct information around the Ukraine war. And the way they controlled that information was through a series of illegal acts, war crimes. And there's a lot more that goes into what happened than many people even know. And a majority of the people who do know are them. They're the enemy. President Zelensky won the Ukraine war against Russia in 2023. Because of the attack on the United States of America, a lot of the information was buried, changed, destroyed. But it's something that has to get out. Russia committed a series of war crimes, many of which Ukraine did not know about. Not only did Russia commit these war crimes against Ukraine, but so did the United States of America. It's hard to sit here and say the United States of America, but the generals that were in power at that time were working in coordination with Russian operatives and military. There was a completely separate camp under the United States of America that was for Ukraine and protecting Ukraine actively. But the United States was divided. The misinformation that continued was part of a misinformation campaign to defraud anyone who knew the truth and to act as if it didn't happen. Some of the major players involved were Erik Prince, U.S. Republican generals, and many of Donald Trump's people, including himself. From my own personal experience, the lines are very blurry around that time period because of the attacks on the United States of America and acting President Joe Biden. It was very hard to get accurate, I don't want to say accurate information, because the information that came in was accurate. It was hard to know who was on whose team, and the timing was off. There were attacks on Interpol by Russian government, specifically in Vienna. We did not have a functioning international police force. Wagner Group had pulled out, and that was the end of the war. There were several meetings that took place with Russian oligarchs, and they were committed to finding monies, finding resources to continue the war and act as if they won. But they were charged with war crimes by The Hague. So when I say it's confusing, I think it's because a lot of the interactions with The Hague and Interpol were outside of the United States of America. So to actually know the precise timing of when they went under attack is hard to know, but it is directly connected to Africa and Vladimir Putin's African gold. Those monies played into the attacks on anyone who would know about the war crimes or charge those war crimes against Russia and Vladimir Putin. Donald Trump was acting as president on the back end, underneath acting President Joe Biden. He was secretly carrying on his own covert operations, dark operations under his generals. His generals that were actively a part of this were denounced General Mike Flynn, denounced General Charles Flynn, denounced General Mark Milley, and denounced General James Mattis. And they were the main generals in coordination with former denounced Navy SEAL Erik Prince, who were carrying out these operations alongside of Lieutenant General Thomas Ferguson. These operations were ongoing, and the minute they were outed, they would change. This is a lot more detailed than in this short video, but for now, I think the truth has to get out, and that is that Ukraine won the war against Russia.